Fresh perspective, real empowerment, you better be respected. Lady Fresh on the motherfucking check-in. Weezy got her back, she stay protected. Just the fresh perspective, real empowerment, you better be respected. Just for the dreamers, it's to get you through the night now. Not for the haters, bet you they don't come outside.
Lady Fresh Brown, and that's just kind of started from there. You guys, welcome Mr. Maurice Todd to the Fresh Perspective. Hey,
how you doing?
How are you?
How you doing?
I love the setup back there. You got all the book bags.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I came prepared this time. Last time was a fiasco
On so many.
on my part.
No, you did great. Let me tell you something. I want to say that of probably of all the guests that we had that night, a lot of people seemed to connect with you, and they wanted to see you back. And so it's been about 10 months now. And we got you back. It's a different setup now. I got my solo thing going on over here, but still doing a lot of the same thing. Still trying to, bring unique content, bring awareness, bring things that are educational and that can maybe help somebody learn something or, move to the next level in their career if they want to, if that's something that they're interested in doing. And I really felt connected to what you were doing with the Snotty Nosed Kids movement. I thought it was amazing. And I still kind of follow you on Clubhouse. I've been kind of in and out of there. I haven't really been on as much, but ever since I launched the show, I've been coming back and forth doing the Viral Love Train. So I do get to see, your posts. But I just wanted to bring you back and talk a little bit and about the Snotty Nosed Kids and what you've been up to.
Well, like 10 months ago, it was like he was still in the midst of like a quarantine, right? And so I think that's pretty much the vibe that you was getting that was coming from out that show. It's like a lot of people were frustrated and but I think I was able to deal with a lot more because I've been incarcerated. And I tell people all the time, like for the first time in history, the entire United States was incarcerated. So everybody, whether they want to admit to it or not, you felt what it's what it's like to be incarcerated because you was confined to your homes, and so basically that's what you got from out that show, from what I saw and what I perceived, and but moving forward, I went on and picked up a couple of certifications in mental health, dealing with the youth, which was cool. Teaching workshops. I'm currently teaching workshops to the youth now in Florida, which is big for me because it gives me that direct experience as I move forward. Because I ultimately want to, do that in my home state of New York, on a big scale. But I don't know. It's just somebody told me one of cat that I know that did a considerable amount of time too. He just told me something that was, profound for me when I asked him, some advice moving forward. He just said, just be authentic, just be yourself, man. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to be nobody else. Because when you're yourself, I think that's what resonates with people more than anything else. You ain't gotta be if you're not hard. You ain't gotta try to be hard. You know what I mean? Because people pick up on that. If ain't nothing wrong with being, and just stay in your lane. So that's what I try to do. I try to be as authentic as possible.
And we definitely felt that way. Even the last time you were here with a lot of the constraints that were on all of us. I mean, that was September of 2021. Things weren't as bad, but it wasn't quite okay yet either. And you brought about a lot of knowledge as far as, mental health. And we talked about what your books do for kids as far as the snotty nosed kids being about bullying and our kids dealing with bullying. And you made a good point when you talked about how bullying is a form of is a mental health issue. And so are you still seeing, are you seeing like a huge reception as far as what your books are discussing and what it deals with as far as the children?
You know, um, there was sort of um, on my part, not a sort of like a hesitation and a wariness, because when I wrote these books, I was coming from a place that was, you know, it was authentic, but it was also a step in the direction to be vulnerable and to, because you have to be vulnerable when you tell your story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, it wasn't really received because of the people that I initially went to. You
Mm,
know, I went to people who were, you know, um, not like us, put it that way.
right.
And so I got, all this flack about everything from the name. You know what I mean? Like the name was like not a good name, believe it or not, to use with children and all this other stuff. But I just pressed forward because I already knew what my journey was all about. And if I got a stamp from my mom's, then that's all I needed. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a
And one thing I came to realize, because now that I got certified, believe it or not, like everything that was in the certification courses is stuff that I already knew, because I had already been through it, in my life. So um, it's crazy that the books that I came with, it was almost like they were ahead of their time, you know. But I'm used to it because it seems like everything that I do is ahead of its time, whether it be the books, the clothes, my clothing line, whatever. And it's like when you do so much time and you reflect, you almost become like Batman. You know what I mean? Like you develop like a bat. You develop sonar to where you could feel things without even looking. You could perceive things, but even without your eyes. So it's like coming out here. I already had a bead on things, and like my man had said, he was like, just be authentic. So I said, what can I give back that would be able to shine some light? And that's basically what it was. It was like I wrote a series of books where I didn't try to embellish too much. I didn't try to like make it too crazy because nobody's life is that crazy. You know what I mean? But just to put into perspective some of the things that we go through. So as a young person who grew up being bullied initially as a child,
Mhm.
and flipped the script and turned around and became the bully. You know what I mean? Then I was able to speak from that perspective. You know what I mean? And I didn't need a degree. I didn't need a certification to be able to speak from that space
Right.
because I knew firsthand. You know what I mean? I was a specialist in that right there. So I think that kind of like intimidated a lot of people. You know what I mean? But as I move forward and I gain momentum, it's all about, he's not really trying to step on nobody's feet or toes, but you know, it is what it is. Things are changing, and when I'm talking to the kids, like the kids respect me more than they respect the interns. You know what I mean? Or they might respect somebody in that because the kid is being able to identify, with authenticity of the individuals they deal with.
Yes, and I definitely got like an authentic feel from the books. Like I said, my daughter has a few of them and she loves them. And I don't think I got a chance to ask you last time because we didn't spend a lot of time speaking to everybody individually. We kind of dived into the overall topic. So, as far you mentioned the name and how people criticized you about the name, what was the inspiration behind naming the series the Snotty Nosed Kids? They got like snotty noses and everything. I love it because the graphics really fit the story and the title.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, going forward, I'm in talks with people to digitize this thing
Actual
and to take it to a
professional
whole
to
nother
come and
level.
really try to explain it. And even still hearing it, it's like wow, I still have so much to learn. So thank you so much for putting it in as close to layman terms as possible. So you mentioned the blockchain. So can you explain to us a little bit more about what the blockchain is?
Sure, yeah. So the blockchain is essentially kind of like a bank's ledger where they keep all their transactions. The blockchain is the digital version of that. So it's essentially online for anyone to see, and it records any assets being purchased or sold on the blockchain. So that's the simplest way to put it. The reason it's called blockchain is more technical. It's just there's a certain amount of transactions that fit into a block. And then once all those transactions are completed, they attach to the chain of previous transactions on the blockchain. So it's just a technical term for it, but essentially it's an immutable ledger. So it cannot be edited or changed once a transaction is done. It's posted on the internet and it can't be audited at all or edited. So that's the part about crypto that's really amazing, is that, we don't necessarily know what the banks or what the system, the government is doing with the money for taxes or for these things. And with the blockchain, it's all visible for anyone to see. And it's all code, so it can't be changed. So I think that's a big, fundamental aspect about the blockchain that really helps, or people see as a way for us to be better in the future. Because right now, with the way things are going, so many things in our system are broken. So the blockchain, essentially, you're just pushing innovative minds and developers.
Crypto.rocket. Make sure you guys follow her so that way you can get the updates on when you'll be able to hear the podcast. Are you doing anything on YouTube?
Not yet.
Okay.
I was like, I was not on any platforms for a long time. And then all of a sudden it was Instagram and Facebook and all these things. So I'm just slowly working my way up. But I'll probably incorporate, because I know the thing with crypto is a lot of people are on YouTube. That's one of the main platforms for crypto. So, but not yet. And yeah, I wanted to add as well, if you guys are interested and you want to learn more, but you just don't have the time to dive into all of this, I also offer one-on-one coaching for people, educational purposes, but it's like the Cold Notes version of everything you need to know. So, how to set up a wallet properly, where to buy crypto, how to store crypto, all the do's and don'ts, as well as discussing projects that are out there, layer ones, layer twos, whatever category you're looking for, all that kind of stuff. If you're just looking for knowledge there, I offer one-on-one coaching too. So between the podcast and, the Instagram little tidbits and reels, and then the one-on-one coaching, hopefully you guys can get as much information that way as possible, and you don't really need to go too far.
That's right. We're going to utilize the Crypto Rocket. I have her website here at the bottom of the screen. You guys, make sure you check her out. She is a wealth of knowledge. Like, I really love your Instagram posts because they're not boring either. Like, you always have like good music. It's a lot of good energy. And, so I'm always interested in checking out what you have there. Before we go into more questions, do I still have you for a little bit more time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before we get into more questions from the chat, I did notice you had a post not too long ago that said like 5 reasons why you won't be wealthy. Can you give us those 5 reasons? Because I thought that was really important.
Yeah. There's actually so many more than 5, but those are the big ones.
Those are the big ones, right?
Yeah. So one of them is that you don't know your risk tolerance. So really, again, like I said, with crypto, understanding that it's riskier, understanding that it's cyclical. So there's ups and downs every couple years, and understanding when those are. And then whether or not if you can't afford to lose the money that you're going to invest in, you're going to flip flop. You're going to you're going to be emotionally charged. And being emotionally charged when you're investing is one of the worst things that anyone can ever do. And so if you can't afford to invest that money, and you're going to be freaking out if it drops and you want to pull it out, you're going to lose in the end. So that's a big one, knowing your risk tolerance. The other one is not having multiple revenue streams. So, a big thing is being able to have multiple different things that can pay you, because the goal at the end of the day, guys, is to not, my goal anyways, is to work less. You want to enjoy your life, work less. So anything you can do that's making you those multiple revenue streams is going to be massive, and it's going to get you one step closer to getting to that place where you want to be in your life. And the other one was, so the emotion part is you buy high, you buy high and you sell low. So that again plays on emotions. Most people jump in and they have FOMO. They jump in when Bitcoin's running, and now it's at 60,000, and they're like, I better jump in because it's going to go to 100 grand. And now we start dropping. So buying high and then panic selling. That's why it's really important to have conviction in what you're buying, so you don't make those mistakes. Because you're like, you know what? Yeah, I bought when Ethereum was $2,000. It's now at $1,200, but I'm in this for the long term, so I'm not going to sell it. So those are huge things. You keep all your money in the bank. So this is a big one, especially right now. We're dealing with some insane amount of inflation. I think we're at almost 8% now. The market, we haven't seen anything like this since, do a quick history search. Basically the Great Depression. It was when kind of all of this sort of stuff, not the same things, obviously, but this is kind of the this is what a lot of people think might happen. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but with the way the Fed is tightening on all of this, your savings account balance is losing money substantially every year. Even if you get a 5% raise from your work, they're technically giving you a pay cut because inflation is 8%. So your savings account isn't making you any money, and you're technically losing purchasing power. That's how inflation works, is the cost of goods rises, but your money is the same value. So you're losing money having cash. Cash is trash. So keeping your savings in a bank account, I wouldn't advise that. I would say find other revenue streams. Like I said, we talked about a little bit, precious metals, commodities, all of those things that are going to hold their value. Things like silver and gold, those are staples. They're going to hold their value. There's actually a crazy thing I looked up the other day.
So talking to on, Clubhouse. We do all these events together, and I come across some really dope artists. So
something in my cup, I probably mix it. Coming for my money like I'm 50. Cause I remember how these niggas did me. I remember when you wasn't with me. I can't show my face or I can't feel it. 3 cups of the 22, I'm lifty. Hold up, we gon' be there in a minute. That's the way I'm feeling, I could touch the sky. When I started rapping, swear it changed my life. Yes, I'm blessed, I told you that a million times. Even through the dark, I somehow found a light. I hope I never change, but nothing stay the same. I hope we find a way, this should be like a maze. If we be them bands and not in my place, money involved, I might show my face and miss you resolve. Most of them ain't about no law, but the one who made me out of control. I'm still in my lane, we cannot compare, no, we ain't the same. I gotta move on, I gotta maintain, know that I'm on. I hope you relate, yeah. Just say yeah.
So I like his music. Like I said, I was introduced to him on Clubhouse, and I told him I was going to feature him on the Lady Fresh show today, and so that's what I did. So that last track you just heard was Yeah. All right, so our guest of honors are here. They're in the back and ready for us. Just going to give another quick shout out to the chat. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in. I really want you guys to share this live. Get as many people in here to hear this information as possible. Again, I take everything you guys say to me very seriously. We talked about what we were going to do next with my hair, and you can see you guys asked for purple, so purple is what you got. Okay, Lady Fresh is rocking the pixie cut. Very different from me. I haven't had a short haircut in forever. So you guys make sure you let me know what you think. So we're gonna bring up our guests, Mr. and Mrs. Chance and Charmaine Santos of Second Chance Financial Solutions. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
We're good. Thank you for allowing us to join your show. We're fans.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do the show. And, you know, Charmaine, everybody was so impressed with the information that you gave last time. And I'm so happy to be able to bring you back and have the King of Credit here this time with us as well.
What's going on?
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Lady Fresh. I appreciate it. Yeah, blessed to be here. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Yes, happy Sunday for real. So I was telling Charmaine, I was like, I'm a little under the weather, but we gonna do this episode.
Yeah.
This was really important because you know, I don't know everything I need to know about business credit, but it's very important to me. And so I wanted to make sure we shared that information with our viewers as much as possible. So last time you were on the show, Charmaine, you discussed personal credit.
Yes.
So now we have the King of Credit here, and I want you guys, and you know, this question is for either of you. Just take us back, rewind a little bit before we get into the business credit, and remind me again how exactly you got into this business. I believe you started with personal credit first, and then kind of moved into business credit. So tell us a little bit about how you got into personal credit, and then you know where it kind of went from there.
All right, Lady Fresh. Well, I'm going to start this story off. It was a few years ago, and you know, my wife and I, we have 3 children. And one day I just said to myself, you know, we were living in an apartment complex, not the greatest, but not the worst either. But, you know, I had 3 children with my wife. And I just thought to myself, what am I going to do differently in order to put us in a better situation? You know, I wanted my children to be in a home. You know, I wanted them to have that level of comfortability. So I came across a friend of mine, a business partner, and he mentioned this thing about credit, and he brought it to my attention, and it interested me to the point where I decided to take that information to my wife. We both looked at it together, and what I will say is 3 years ago, like I said, we lived in an apartment in not the greatest neighborhood. We were sharing one vehicle. 3 years later, here we are. Now that we focused on fixing our credit, we're in our own home. We both have 2022 vehicles in the driveway. They're Kias, but hey, they're brand new. But the point that I'm trying to make, I guess, is this is how credit or personal credit can change your life. And for me, once we just got our credit together, I decided it was important for me to help other people, especially within our community, because for me, that is a big thing. There's so many of us that didn't come up with that financial literacy education within our own homes. So I felt if I could do my small part, or should I say my wife and I, we could do our small part to help others, you know, we would love to have that opportunity. And we've helped several people buy homes. So yeah, this is something that we're both passionate about. And yeah, we just really, it came from our wanting to just help others.
And you said something very key about how it wasn't available to us on a mainstream. You know, we always talked about, you know, I talk with my daughter and my husband, and I said, I really wish in high school they talked to us about credit, especially, you know, going off to college, because I think we discussed this before.
So I continued to work at the Capitol for a few years, worked with a specific candidate who is now at a federal level. And I took 2 years of making sure that he understood what the birth world is about, why we do this. They love him now. And not only that, making solid connections within my community and making sure that they understand not only are doulas called to this, but we're also business women. Off top, we are business women. So we're not somebody who just rolls into the hospital and what have you. We have communication skills, we have trauma training, we have conflict resolution. We know how to ground ourselves so that we can show up for other parents, families. What I will say too is it's so important for us to be in the back. We're not leading. We're not in a space where we need to be seen at all. in the end, our job is to make sure that we can execute as much as possible for what it is those families have desired. And I'm with you. I'm in it to win it with you. And that's what it's about. So that's what I do now and love it. And we'll have to, I'll be 106 if I live that long, just supporting mothers the way I can.
That's so important, and I applaud you for seeing the need and diving right in. Like, it sounds like it didn't take any convincing. It was just like, okay, I'm here and I'm in it. Oh gosh, I got rogue hair. Okay, so for me, I'm educating myself as well as other people, the people that are listening to this podcast. I'm educating myself, and what stood out to me back in 2020, which I'm sure you're aware of, was the death of Kiara Johnson. When she delivered her baby and hours later, she passed away. And I believe it was preventable, had someone been paying attention. And so what I feel like is like a doula's duty and responsibility is to that family. And I feel like having someone who is dedicated specifically to that cause could have saved Kiara's life. She didn't get to see, she got to see her son for a few hours, but her husband picked up on the fact that something wasn't right. And it took them nearly 13 hours for her to end up getting surgery and not surviving. And so now there's a huge movement because African-American women are 4 times more likely to die after giving birth to their child, compared to our Caucasian counterparts. That's a problem. There needs to be an advocate for us. And I feel like we don't have one. And we should. And I feel like, like the research that I've done on what doulas do, such as yourself, you guys are the advocate. You guys are the ones that can, like you said, you don't necessarily lead. You're not the one that's facilitating the birth, but you know the do's and don'ts. You know what should be happening. You're aware of what their plan is. You've invested that time. And so I just feel like if we educate ourselves a little bit more, and knowing that doulas are in the hospitals, it's not just at home birth, they're in the hospitals, and that advocate can be there for you. So, how much of your time would you say you put towards being a doula? Because you're very highly accomplished. I look at your background, and you do so much. So how much of your time do you spend, with both your other projects you have?
My everythings.
Everything's good.
Cancel culture is a horrible thing, man. And we all know it's an agenda behind it, right? But yeah, cancel culture need to be canceled. to be honest with you, we need to do away with cancel culture altogether, right? Like it should be a culture of correcting people, not canceling people, right? So and just to be, transparent, everybody don't need to be corrected. Some people need to stand strong in their stance. Like, we don't all have to agree on everything. We're individuals for a reason. We're not the same. We don't think the same. We got different opinions. We got different views. Thanks for having me, Lady Fresh. It's good to be back.
I'm so excited about tonight's show. We originally crossed paths. I don't like to say met, because we didn't actually meet each other in person, but we crossed paths on Clubhouse.
Correct.
Yes. And, we both would share out, our content, like what we were doing. And at the time for you, it was music, and I was promoting the Roz and Fresh show. And, I thought your music was dope. So I invited you to do the show, and you so graciously blessed us with your presence. And I promised you, because of that stream, it was so many technical issues. I said, I'm going to have you back. We're going to do this again. At the time, I didn't know it would be my own show, but here we are. So what's Verb's been up to?
So as you know, I started the podcast, 2 P's in the Podcast, with my homie DK. So we've been doing that. Also been doing real estate investing, and just continue grinding with the music, you know. Trying to get it out there, get it to the right people, and just get it circulating more. That's all.
Absolutely. And I know you moved from Brooklyn to Dallas.
So I'm right outside of Dallas, but yeah, I'm in Texas now. Yes.
Okay, he left New York City to go to Texas. Nah, but that's a smart move. I mean, you get so much more for your money, you know, land, you're not living on top of each other. It's a good move. I mean, when I left New York, I never went back. I go back and visit, and I get annoyed just with the visits. So,
yeah. I feel you. And every time I do go back, it's the same thing. It's the same way I left it. So I'm never really missing anything.
Right. Just the people and then head on out.
Right.
So we're going to talk today about all of those things. I want to talk about your music. I want to definitely dive into the podcast. I'm actually going to drop your link in the chat so that my mods can rotate the link to the show all night. I want them to just rotate it throughout the entire night. You guys, I want you to go over. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and drop it right now. If my mods can please copy this link and go ahead and get everybody to go over and start subscribing to 2 P's in a Podcast. I love that name. I definitely got to ask you how you guys came up with that. But as far as your music, so we just listened to your intro off the last album and Evergreen, which is my favorite song. And so what can we expect in the future from Rich Verbs as far as the music?
So I have an album coming out July 7th. So that's 7/7. And it's titled RRL7. So that's RRL7. That's the name of the album. And Evergreen was the first single from that album. That was the first song I released from the up-and-coming album.
Okay. And so how many albums is this going to be for you?
Have I done?
Yes.
This would be 3 as far as albums, but I have done like other projects.
Lady Fresh, keep it real, and that's a fact. She gon' tell it like it is, that's just that on that. Yeah, that's just that on that. This the fresh perspective with Lady Fresh. Lady Fresh, keep it real, and that's the fact. She gon' tell it like it is, that's just that on that. Yeah, that's just that on that. Tune in every week, rockin' with Lady Fresh.